Though I was originally thinking about reviewing this last year and didn't think of putting on my schedule for last year's Spooktacular October, I've decided I'm going to make this up to you right now. So brace yourselves, because I want to play a game. Or should I say, a little bit of a review. A re-review, that is. So brace yourselves as I re-review the one and only Saw. Let the game begin. Or dare I say the review, that is. Re-review. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 2004 horror flick Saw, released by Lionsgate for Twisted Pictures. Yes, this is the first actual full film from a sort of a new horror genre production label in the form of Twisted Pictures, which is now defunct. The film is directed by James Wan in his featured directorial debut, written by Leigh Whannell, from a story co-written by him and Wan. Whannell is also introduced in this film along with Cary Elwes, Danny Glover, Micah Potter, Michael Emerson, and Ken Leung. The film tells a non-linear narrative revolving around the mystery of the Jigsaw Killer, who tests his victims' will to live by putting them through deadly games, where they must inflict great physical pain upon themselves to survive. The frame story follows Jigsaw's latest victims, played by Whannell and Elwes, who awaken in a large, dilapidated bathroom, with one being ordered to kill the other to save his own family. The film was released on October 29th, 2004, just over 10 months after it made its premiere at Sundance. It eventually did well, making a lot for a low budget film. And it became one of the most profitable horror films since Scream. And the success of this launched a big media franchise. This was originally planned to be for straight to video release, but they decided to instead release it in theaters, and the film got mixed reviews. Let's get into the story. Adam, a photographer, awakens in a dilapidated bathtub with his ankle chained to a pipe. Across the room is oncologist Dr. Lawrence Gorin, and between them is the corpse of a suicide victim holding a revolver and a microcassette recorder. Both men find a tape in their pockets, and Adam retrieves the recorder. Adam's tape urges him to survive, while Gorin's tape orders him to kill Adam by 6 o'clock, or his wife Allison and daughter Diana will be murdered. After listening to the tapes, the duo uncovers a clue leading Adam to find a bag containing two hacksaws inside the toilet. Both men try to saw through their chains, but Adam's saw breaks. Gorin realizes that the saws are instead for their feet and identifies their captor as the Jigsaw Killer, a serial killer who tests his victims' will to survive through murderous contraptions known as games, whom Gorin knows about as he was once a suspect. 5 months prior, Gorin, after discussing the terminal brain cancer patient John Kramer with his medical interns, was interrogated by detectives David Tapp and Stephen Singh, who found his pen light at the scene of one of Jigsaw's games. Gorin's alibi cleared him, but he agreed to view the testimony of heroin addict Amanda Young, the only known survivor of one of Jigsaw's traps. Tapp and Singh later found Jigsaw's warehouse using the videotape from Amanda's game. There, they detained Jigsaw and saved a man from a trap, but Jigsaw managed to escape after he critically injured Tapp. Singh was killed by a shotgun trap. In the present, Allison and Diana are tied and gagged in their apartment as their captor watches Adam and Gorin through a hidden camera. The house is simultaneously watched by Tapp, who, after being discharged from the police following Singh's death, has become obsessed with the Jigsaw case. and remains convinced that Gordon is the killer. Meanwhile, Gordon finds a box containing two cigarettes, a lighter, and a one-way cell phone. Am asks Gordon for the cigarette, but Gordon discourages this. He recounts his abduction in a parking garage by a pig masked figure and recalls his own abduction when he returned home to find a puppet in his darkroom, where he stored photos of Gordon. Held at gunpoint, Allison calls her husband and warns him not to trust him, who admits to Gordon that he was paid by Tab to spy on him and reveals his knowledge of Gordon's affair with one of his medical students whom he had visited on the night of his abduction. Gordon deduces that the affair is the reason why he is being tested. Adam finds a photo of Allison and Diana's captor, whom Gordon identifies as Zepp Hindle, an orderly at his hospital. Now for the final act and the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video at once. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Zepp, seeing that Gordon has still not killed Adam, moves to murder Allison and Diana, but Allison frees herself and fights him. The struggle attracts Tap's attention, and he saves Allison and Diana before chasing Zepp to the sewers, where he is shot in the chest after a brief fight. Gordon, only aware of the gunshots and screaming, is shocked but cannot reach his cell phone. In desperation, he saws off his foot and shoots Am with the corpse's revolver. Zepp enters the bathroom to kill Gordon, but Am, having survived the gunshot, bludgeons him to death with a toilet tank lid. Gordon crawls out of the bathroom to find help while Am searches Zepp's body for a key. He finds another tape which reveals that Zepp was just another victim of Jigsaw following rules to obtain the antidote for a slow-acting poison in his body. The corpse lying in the room suddenly rises to its feet. It turns out to be John Kramer, who is the real Jigsaw killer. John tells Am that the key to his chain was in the bathtub. It went down the drain when Am had first awoken and drained the water. Am attempts to shoot John with Zepp's gun, but John electrically shocks him through his chain. John exits the bathroom before sealing the door, leaving Am alone to die. Game over. And end of story for good for this film anyway. So what did I think of Saw? Now I've seen this a few times, and I gotta tell you, this is one bloody flick that really started a big franchise and what really put James Wan on the map. I have to say he does an exceptionally good job on this. Now this was his second big directing type film, even though after the 1998 film Stygian, although he co-directed it, this is his first full-time directing of this. Of course, this was before he also went on to direct Insidious and The Conjuring, as well as Furious 7 and Aquaman. Oh yeah, and Malignant as well. Anyway, I gotta say, this was, yeah, so shocking and what have you. Going from one thing to another, sure, it's kind of a little, well, kind of a non-linear narrative, as I've said already, but nevertheless, I found it to be pretty good. Anyway, the success of this launched a big franchise, including numerous sequels, as well as a couple of video games, theme park rides, and merchandising. Upon its release, the film did very well for Lionsgate, making 104 million worldwide on its mere $1 to $1.2 million budget. Okay, it's not really a mere amount. I'm just having some fun with y'all. Anyway, the film did very well, even though despite it lost to Ray and The Grudge at the box office, but nevertheless, it still did well and went on to become the studio's second best opening after Fahrenheit 9/11, which opened the same year. Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 50%, where they say the film ensnares audiences with a deceptively clever plot and a myriad of memorable, nasty set pieces, but its lofty ambitions are undercut by a nihilistic streak that feels more mean than profound. Metacritic has a score of 46, while audiences polled by Cinema Score gave it a C plus. So factually, it's kind of a mixed bag, but not 110% though. I thought this film was pretty good for most of the part. Variety dissed this after its Sundance premiere, calling it a crude concoction sewn together from the severed parts of prior horror serial killer pits, and called the screenplay convoluted, criticizing the use of flashbacks within flashbacks and red herrings. Sure, that may be, and why have you? However, the San Francisco Chronicle was positive, saying the film combined B movie acting with a twisted mindset and visual tricks designed to camouflage cheap effects, and that it was terrifying at some moments and insinuatingly creepy at many others. The killing scenes were amazingly evocative for such a low budget movie. Empire was impressed, saying that the film is styled like early David Fincher films and boasts an intricate structure. Complex flashbacks within flashbacks explain how the characters have come to this crisis, and a satisfying mystery to go with its ghastly sorry, I'm not tongue tied claustrophobia, and said it's as good an all out non camp horror movie as we've had lately. So there's so many reviews and what have you. Blade Disgusting ranked this film 10th in its list of the 10 top 20 horror films of the decade, with the articles calling the film perhaps the most influential horror film of the decade. The Daily Telegraph listed the film number 14 on their top 100 list that defined the 2000s. The film was nominated for Best Horror Film at the Saturn Awards, but it lost. Anyway, the next year, Saw 2 would come out. That, of course, that's celebrating its anniversary real soon, but I'm going to celebrate its anniversary just a little early, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's going to be just a little early. Which I think that kind of eased up the story's feel to it a little bit. Anyway, the film would become very successful on physical media. Later on, there would be a special uncut edition, which would be an unrated version, which would be released just in time for the release of Saw 2. It also included the Saw short film, which came out before this. But I've never seen it though. But I do have Saw on DVD along with its 6 sequels, original 6 sequels. But I have seen all of them. And some of them can be a hit or a miss. You be the judge and what have you. I'm going to hopefully after I try and watch them all, maybe perhaps I'll rank the films sometime sooner. But Saw, it's not too bad. It's scored, composed by Charlie Clouser. It's good. For our cast, we have Leigh Whannell taking on the role of Adam. Of course, he made his directorial debut with the third chapter of Insidious. He also went on to direct films like Upgrade, as well as the 2020 remake of The Invisible Man, and more recently, The Wolf Man from earlier this year. Playing Dr. Lawrence Goring is Cary Elwes, who I've known him from numerous films. Danny Glover of the Lethal Weapon franchise and other films. Played Detective Tapp. I have to give him credit for what he did. He was good. Ken Leung played Detective Singh. He was good. Dina Meyer, after seeing her in Starship Troopers a few years prior, and this was right about the time she started to appear on the short-lived Fox satanic drama series Point Pleasant as Carrie. I'll say she's good. Anyway, and there's many others. We have Tobin Bell as Jigsaw. Yes, I mean we didn't know it was him until the end, but it was really shocking. Um, Monica Parr played Alison Gorin. Good. Mackenzie Vega as young Diana Gorin. Good. But it was Shawnee Smith as Amanda who really managed to do well. Of course, we'd be seeing more of her later on. And I gotta say, she managed to get out of her trap real easily, and that was to kill what looked like an undead person. But I saw the. Well, I'm not going to give much of that. I think you know what I'm saying. Because she was this big well thing on her head that when it was shown in a test video, it acted like a reverse bear trap. Some of those traps, or should I say games, look so deadly than anyone can imagine. Seriously. But even so, I think this is what made Saw pretty big, and I would continue to go on to make numerous sequels for the next few years. So everything said, Saw might be a little bit of a mixed bag, but not completely. I mean, I thought its story wasn't too bad, even though it might be a little mind blowing going from flashbacks and in the side of the flashbacks and what have you. But nevertheless, it was directed by a great guy in James Wan, and Leigh Whannell's screenplay was good with the story him Wan co-wrote together. And I proved that was pretty good. The score is pretty good, and its cast is pretty good. So would I recommend Saw? I'd say definitely. Sure, go ahead. I'd say I'd give it a draw between hell yeah and sure, go ahead. Or Bear, yeah, I'd give it a one-time watch. But this is the first film, so get this one a go for. Definitely. So what did you think of Saw? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Join me next time when I review Saw 2, which will also be a re-review. I'm re-reviewing the first 8 films since I did not review Spiral, the 9th film, nor Saw X, the last film in the franchise. Alright. So if you like this, check out my reviews of these other films that James Wan did. Here's a look at the Conjuring films. I hope hopefully sometime next month or so, if it does come next month to HBO Max, I'll check out the 4th film and give you a spoiler-free review of that. Details to follow if that comes up, okay? So in the upper left-hand corner, check out my review of the one that started it all, The Conjuring. Or go to the upper right-hand corner and see my review of The Conjuring 2. Or if you'd like to see the start of another franchise James Wan started, check out my review of Insidious in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.